Hey everyone, Robin from Backscatter here, and today we're taking a look at the new GoPro Hero 7 camera. It's another year and that means another new GoPro, so we'll be breaking down why we feel this is the best GoPro to date and what you need to know when taking it underwater. So what's new and exciting about Hero 7? The biggest things are the new Hypersmooth image stabilization, overall improved image quality, and some tweaks to their performance tiers, specifically the black, silver, and white editions of this camera. We'll cover each of these main points in detail, then we'll also get into some other stuff that we think is just pretty cool. Let's start with Hypersmooth image stabilization. This is definitely the driving feature here and the most talked about aspect of the camera so far. We went out on our first dive with a Hero 6 and a Hero 7 side by side to see the difference. The Hero 6 is using just the standard stabilization, while the Hero 7 has Hypersmooth activated. It's safe to say you can believe most of the hype because the Hypersmooth stabilization really is noticeable and instantly provides a very welcome boost to the stability and smoothness of our clips. This feature is a little bit more obvious topside when encountering bumpy terrain or even just handheld shakiness. We can definitely feel the benefit underwater as well though. Since we're already typically capturing clips that are smoother than topside just because of the nature of what we're doing, the Hypersmooth stabilization isn't an epic level of improvement, but it does add that extra little layer of polish that grants a cinematic style and grace to your clips. Hypersmooth is only available at a maximum of 2.7K resolution at 60 frames per second. This means that if you want to shoot at the maximum performance spec of 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, you only get the standard image stabilization, not Hypersmooth. This is still pretty dang good, and by using a double-handled tray and/or a tripod, you can still achieve very smooth and stable clips even at 4K 60. Overall, we gotta say, this feature is pretty cool, and it's probably gonna be the most noticeable benefit that you'll feel if upgrading from any previous generation of GoPro. So now, let's talk a little bit about the image quality. Again, comparing some clips from the Hero 6 and 7 side by side, we can see an immediate improvement to the color, contrast, and clarity coming right out of the camera. These clips have not been edited at all for color or exposure. This is straight out of the camera. We can see that the blues are more blue, the shadows are darker, and the blacks more rich, while highlights are also capturing more detail. Now it's not a major difference, but the overall color saturation, contrast detail, and image clarity is a noticeable improvement in our opinion. It just looks a little better. Now we always say that the two most important aspects of underwater video are color and stability. And the Hero 7 has shown us that GoPro has stepped up their game in each of these departments. When you consider this is also one of the most economical and easy ways to get into shooting 4K 60p content underwater, it's pretty easy to see why we're calling this the best GoPro yet. With the Hero 7, GoPro has discontinued the 5 and 6 models. Instead, they now offer 3 different performance tiers of the Hero 7 with the black, silver, and white editions. The black edition, like we've got here, is the only model that's compatible with the Supersuit dive housing. So that makes choosing which edition is right for you as a diver pretty easy. It's basically black or nothing if you want to use the Hero 7 with the Supersuit housing for diving. The issue with the silver and white editions is the inability to remove the protective lens cover, which is required for the camera to fit in the Supersuit. That's why we even made a little tool just to help pop it right off of there. Yes, this is the same Supersuit housing that the Hero 5 and 6 used, so if you're upgrading camera models, you will not need to purchase a new housing. Even though the camera itself is waterproof, you need the Supersuit housing to take the camera past its 33 feet or 10 meter depth rating. The Supersuit is rated to 196 feet or 60 meters, so this is a must-have if you want to dive with this camera. Here's the really big thing though. Even though the Supersuit allows you to go deeper, the true benefit is that it enables you to also use flip filters to get the best underwater color that we possibly can from this camera. Flip filters will mount right on the supersuit, allowing you to have the best color for different depth ranges with the simplicity of a flip. So what other cool stuff can the Hero 7 do? Well, there's the time warp feature, which is a stabilized time-lapse video mode. It's pretty cool, and it's a lot smoother than normal time lapses if the camera is moving. Hero 7 can still do 1080 Full HD at 240 frames per second video for ultra slow motion. That's up to 8 times slowed down, so that's pretty cool, and it's always something fun to play around with. The touchscreen on the back of the camera feels nice and crisp and responsive. They've updated the layout a little bit from the 6, but the fundamentals are about the same. It's easy to set up everything before sealing the camera in the housing. Then if you need to make adjustments on the fly, you just bring up the settings menu, which we sometimes call the secret menu, by holding down mode and pressing record, then just set what you need. The overall interface is still just as intuitive and easy as ever to learn. There is one factor that we're not completely stoked about. That is the fact that GoPro still has not implemented a way to change the field of view to narrow without using the touchscreen. Macro shooters are gonna feel the pain on this one, as they have with the Hero 6 before 7. When using the Flip Filter's Macromate mini lens to shoot really small subjects, you really need to be zoomed in to the narrow field of view to avoid vignetting and really soft, blurry corners of your shot. The only way to achieve this currently is by setting the camera to the linear field of view, then using the touch to zoom control on the touchscreen. Once the housing is sealed up, we cannot adjust this. If you change a mode and change back, it resets, making it impractical to switch back and forth between macro and wide on the same dive. Now there are some workarounds, like shooting in 4K wide and then just cropping in edit, or setting the camera up and disabling any sleep modes or screensavers that would reset the field of view when you wake up the camera. That also means you can't accidentally hit the mode button, or narrow is gone until you can access the touchscreen. Obviously, neither of these are as seamless as just being able to have, for example, a way to set the field of view to narrow when using the secret settings menu. Perhaps one day our wish will be granted, but until then, we'll just have to modify our macro video techniques accordingly. Overall, it is easy to say that the Hero 7 is, for sure, the best GoPro yet. With Hypersmooth, it's gonna give your clips that buttery stability that we're after. The image quality packs solid contrast, clarity, and color, especially when paired with flip filters. It's got some creative features and modes to use for creating stories and compelling shots. Whether it's your first underwater camera system, or it's just a component of something larger, it's worth packing for your next dive. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us here at Backscatter. We dive, shoot, and service everything we sell, and we're always happy to help out. I'm Robin from Backscatter signing off, and don't forget to pack that selfie stick.